Good afternoon and welcome everyone. I'm School Board President Nancy Chaides Espinosa. I'd like to welcome you to the Elk Grove Unified School District and to Miwok Village Elementary School. I'd like to thank Governor Newsom and the First Partner for visiting Elk Grove Unified today. I would also like to congratulate our hardworking staff, especially our teachers and principals, on a successful first day of school last week. The spirit with which our students have returned to campus is a testament to the welcoming and encouraging environment that they create. Elk Grove Unified is home to 68 schools that serve students from pre-K through adult education. We are proud to offer 31 preschool classes and 51 transitional kindergarten classes. We know the importance of early childhood education and how it serves as the foundation for a child's educational journey and sets the stage for lifelong learning. We value our partnership with our families because learning starts at home and continues at school. Our focus on the whole child means that our goal is to make sure all students and families feel connected and included on our campuses. We know a connected child is a successful child, and that behind every child is a parent or guardian doing their best under their particular circumstances. Elk Grove Unified provides many opportunities for students and families to feel connected, with over 60 career technical education academy and pathway programs to inspire our students, 4 newcomer welcome centers for refugees and immigrants, and 2 student and family empowerment centers for those facing economic hardship, homelessness, and food insecurity. We strive to provide students and families with the support they need so they are able to thrive both inside and outside of the classroom. These opportunities would not have been possible without the support of our school and district staff, our labor leaders and local partners, without the support of state leaders who fight and preserve our financial resources even in the face of budget deficits. And for that, I would like to give my heartfelt thanks to the governor of the great state of California. Next up, I'd like to welcome one of our key educational partners, Mr. James Sutter, Elk Grove Education Association President.
Good afternoon. First, I'd like to thank Governor Newsom and the First Partner for taking the time to come to visit an Elk Grove school today to witness the incredible skills our educators utilize daily to make school a home for all of their students. A critical part of making school a home for our students is making connections. Today, the governor and the First Partner witnessed powerful connections being made amongst our students as they gathered in the classroom for a community circle. In Elk Grove Unified, it is a priority amongst our educators to make sure all students feel a sense of belonging in our classrooms and at our schools regardless of their individual circumstances. I'd also like to commend the governor on his commitment to education funding. A budget puts action to our character, and it is clear through the governor's actions that the children of our state are our priority. For decades, the research has shown that investment in our youngest learners is imperative. With Governor Newsom's commitment to pre-kindergarten programs, he has made an investment in California that will bear fruit for decades. Thank you for your time today, and I'd like to introduce Assemblymember Stephanie Nguyen.
Thank you, James. Stephanie Nguyen, Assembly Member for District 10 and for this district here. We are so fortunate that we live here in California, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. One is that we've got a governor that is invested in our children and our future. And I'm reminded of that when I'm here at the school and I walk into a classroom and I see right there on the shelf there's a book titled Hair Love, and it's an African-American little girl with her father at the cover. I'm reminded of that when I see a book that says Where the Corner of My Eyes Kiss, and it's an Asian little girl talking about her eyes. And it's because of those books in the classroom that help our children to understand about culture, differences. But not only that, it's about learning. Learning, folks. At the age of 12, I was given a dictionary. My 6 siblings and I use this dictionary all the way up until today. This dictionary helped us get through school. This dictionary here helped an immigrant families, English as a second language, low income, understand and value education. This dictionary here And because we have a governor in the state of California that believes and invests in young children, that today you have standing in front of you a girl whose English is a second language, grew up in every single public assistance program you can think of, is a legislator today in the state of California. Thank you so much, Governor and First Partner, for all that you do for California, for all that you do for young kids, and for all that you do for our future. I'd now like to bring up our very own Senator, Angelique Ashby.
What a proud day for the Sacramento region and right here in Elk Grove. I'm never been prouder to be a Californian and the senator for this area. It's really fun to watch the governor and the First Partner see this amazing campus full of diverse, beautiful little children and equally diverse and amazing teachers. And I'm so proud to see the sense of self establishing on our new campus already under tremendous leadership from a great principal and a great district. We started our day today here in a mental health circle, and they asked us if we noticed anything when we did the quiet meditation. And you know, I noticed two things actually. That the two sets of people that were best at that meditation in the room were the kiddos who had been doing it a long time, and the First Partner, who also, I know, does that quite a bit. But the other three of us, we were pretty fidgety. And I was thinking, you know what? This might be helpful and beneficial to us. If we would start our day being mindful, and if we would sit down and calm our bodies so that our minds could do what they were built to do. I've been a mom a really long time. I have a son who's 28 years old, but I also have a daughter who's 10. And my experience as a parent has been very different from start to finish. I started off as a single mom on food stamps, using subsidized income and subsidized childcare. And what that would have looked like to support me and my oldest son is very different than what it looks like to support me now. And what I appreciate about our governor and about this state is that we are trying very hard to create a robust set of policies and procedures, and most importantly, resources that serve and meet the needs of families across California that are experiencing all different kinds of lives as they move through our great state and try to raise their children to be the best that they can be. I'm proud and honored to be a part of it, and really proud to introduce you. I love our governor, but I get to introduce the next speaker who I am really, really enjoying spending time with, and she's so passionate about women, about moms. This month is really, there's a lot going on this month about working moms, and it's hard for me to even think of a working mom who works harder than she does. So let me introduce you to our First Partner, and she is ever bit the partner too, works really hard for the state of California, Jennifer Newsom.
Thank you, Senator. Good afternoon. What an honor to be here. This beautiful school, which is so deeply entrenched in its community, is a shining example of California's commitment to families. From TK to the makerspace next door, to the amphitheater for communal gathering, to the beautiful green spaces for outdoor learning and play, Miwok Village is building on our goal as a state to provide students with the environment and opportunities in order to thrive. We're doing it through universal school meals, ensuring that no child goes hungry, with 2 free meals a day. And through Farm to School, we're making sure that those meals are fresh, nutritious, delicious, locally sourced, and culturally competent, while expanding science, environmental, and nutrition education in school districts across the state. I've seen many of these programs up close, and the school gardens and culinary education classes have been game changers for kids and their families as they take home what they've grown and learned in the classroom. It's thrilling to see Farm to School programming expand across Elk Grove Unified School District, and then through programs like Miwok's amazing transitional kindergarten classes, which we got to visit today, and before and after school programs. We're educating children and alleviating the financial burden that families bear when trying to find and pay for quality childcare. As a mother during the summer, this is a real issue for all of us. But I'm especially proud of California's commitment to supporting the mental health of our young people, especially in our schools where children spend so much of their time. Given the rise of social media, I feel like I can speak for every parent about our shared concern about excessive time online and how it impacts kids' mental well-being. Elk Grove's digital citizenship curricula, which encompasses education on media literacy, cyberbullying, online privacy, and social and emotional learning and literacy, is a necessary solution to address this problem. And all of this is in line with the governor's multi-billion-dollar investment in the transformation of our youth behavioral health system. So I want to thank MIWOC for doing your part to help address the youth mental health crisis. Your on-site mental health professionals across the district, thoughtful curricula that includes mindfulness and breath work, your positive behavior intervention and support, and your commitment to fostering community and belonging, not just amongst the student body, but the parent body. It's incredible. It's essential. And so while other states limit their children and stifle their ability to reach their full potential through politically motivated book bans, racist and reductive refusals to teach history, and the closing of school libraries. Can you imagine? This library wasn't here. In California, we're focused on the whole child, the family agenda that includes the freedom to grow and thrive at the earliest of ages and throughout life. And we do that by ensuring that California children have the best environments in which to succeed. So now I get to introduce, I'm very proud of this man, a huge champion for California's kids, my husband, our Governor, Gavin Newsom.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam First Partner. Thank you all for taking the time to be here. And most importantly, thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to the Assemblywoman and obviously the great senator from this district for being here, all of you for taking the time to be here. We're here, first day back to school for many districts in the state. As you know well, we sort of have a rolling calendar as it relates to back to school, and we thought it appropriate to update you on where we are and where we've been as it relates to the issue of public education here in the state of California. I appreciate many of the comments that were stated in terms of reinforcing some of the work that is unique and distinctive here in the state of California that runs in contrast to what's happening across the rest of the country. Jen just highlighted the perversity that we are in a library as somehow an anomalous point to assert. And it's no longer anomalous because you look at what's happening across this country where libraries quite literally are being shut down, where librarians are being threatened by criminal action for expressing themselves or providing resources, activities, providing books for students that seek them. If you think I exaggerate, just Google what's happening in Houston, Texas. The school district was taken over, and they're shutting down the libraries and turning them into de facto detention facilities. You cannot make this up. What you also cannot make up is how committed this state is to reforming and transforming public education. I think it's one of the biggest stories that frankly hasn't gotten the attention that it deserves. You heard from the president that we have advanced a brand new grade here in the state of California, TK for All. We just had the privilege and opportunity for caregivers, cohort of just 24 students. Student ratios, student-teacher ratios that are best in class, best in nation, creating a brand new grade for anyone that seeks it. The principal made a point. She said one of the toughest and emotional days is the first day of school for kindergartners because they feel disconnected because they come from home or come scattered from different sites in terms of caregivers and support. And this cohort, because last year they established the first two cohorts of TK, was very familiar with their surroundings, and they were happy to be at school. Mom, Dad, we're good. And it's exactly what was intended with the creation of this new grade. It's a multi-year commitment through 2025. and our commitment is firm. And we have reimagined the paradigm from K through 12 now in the state of California to pre-K to 12. We've also established a framework of engagement that's unique. 1 out of every 4 schools, that's the goal, we want to turn into community schools. In so many ways, this is already a community school. 4 principal anchors of a community school. Foundationally, the most important anchor is family engagement, is parental engagement, home visits. This school's already advanced those frameworks, that strategy. But it's a $4.1 billion multi-year commitment, community schools, to provide an enrichment, to address, as we say, a whole person, and provide the kind of quality supports and alternative choices and opportunities that that the fanciest private school can possibly provide. That multi-year commitment has been reinforced and is firm here in the state of California. We are reimagining the school year. This is under-resourced, I think, in mindshare. 9 hours a day, full enrichment. That's a commitment, fully funded. $5 billion of new money, after school and summer school for all. We've been talking about that for decades. The commitment in the state is firm, a multi-year commitment through 2025, after school and summer school for all. We're doing it. Supporting teachers, 2.9 billion reasons I can lay claim to additional supports for professional development, to not just recruit new teachers, but to retain our workforce and provide them the quality supports that they deserve. Arts education, $3.3 billion of new grants, $3.3 billion in new grants for arts and music, $938 million a year annual appropriation under Prop 28 of additional supports for music and arts, and providing that kind of enrichment. That's happening now here in the state of California. Multi-year commitment, again, transforming, reimagining public education here in the state of California. We're doing the same in terms of high-dose tutoring and learning, addressing the issue of learning loss. $7.9 billion last year in 2022. $8 billion to address the issue of learning loss. You just look at the last 3 years, this is an exact number, $23.8 billion to focus on the issue of literacy and learning loss and tutoring. And it was not a surprise to me. It may have been a surprise to you. I know it was a surprise to the governor of Texas and the governor of Florida in particular. Folks out there in Florida did worse in every category in terms of learning loss than the state of California during the pandemic, which is an interesting fact that, again, I don't think is present out there in our public discourse. Nor is parental engagement. It's foundational. There is no state, I'm going to make this claim, it's not a claim, it's not even an assertion, it's just a simple, fundamental fact. There is no state in America that supports local control and parental engagement like the state of California. No one comes close. It's written into our rules. Look at LCFF, local control funding formula. Look at the LCAP process. What is the LCAP process? It's the accountability plans that are required. What are the accountability plans? They require parental engagement. They require parents to sign off before their kids come to school in terms of those plans. It requires on-site parental advisory committees. Those committees not only advise, they consent to what is presented in front of the school board. And an LCAP plan that has to come in front of the school board, and with the budget last year, has to be certified in a brief and a process that is public and inclusive at the school board level and the parental level. We just established that in the budget. It has to be done by February 28th every single year. No school system in America requires more parental engagement and local control than the state of California. That is a point of pride, and it's a point of privilege for me to make that point, because I don't think that's part of what's often discussed and reported here in the state of California. That's why Jen was right to refer to this as the family freedom agenda, because we believe in the right to our kids to thrive. $4.7 billion for behavioral health investments in the state of California, 0 to 25. New counselors, more support for the remarkable young folks that we just met here that are actually reaching out and going to homes to meet with the parents directly to service their mental health needs, not just their children's mental health needs. I can't believe what I just read, and you may have seen it. New Republic came out with a big article breaking down Mitch McConnell and everybody else, one of their top priorities in America. One of the top priorities in the United States of America for Republican Congress when they come back, according to the Senate, is to eliminate free meals. To eliminate free meals. Because how dare our children have the nutrients they need to learn and thrive? It's a point of contrast and privilege. Because the work that Jen and the legislature has done, that we've removed the stigma of a young child that may have a little debt and is embarrassed because they can't get school and chastised and, sort of differentiated. That doesn't exist in California anymore. $800 million a year of additional resources. Because of Jen's work, we're building out kitchens, the physical infrastructure for those facilities that don't have them, coming up with regional hubs for those facilities that can't have them because of constraints, and providing a framework of nutrition where we mean business, farm to school, and focusing on local ag. No greater example than the local ag that's produced in and around this district. That's a point of contrast and pride. They're trying to shut down free meals. They eliminated free meals after COVID. Remember, they had a 2-year short period where they enhanced it. They enthusiastically cut it off, and then we stepped in and enthusiastically increased it. I think just New Mexico, maybe the only other state that even approximates what the state of California. There's simply no system in America that's transforming public education like the state of California. And if you think that's just in the context of K through 12 and after school for all and summer school for all and the work we're doing reimagining the school year, even school start times, and the work we're doing on mental health and creating a brand new grade, and the fact we're supporting teachers with all the professional development and arts and education and the like, well, I haven't even gotten started. How about the fact that every single child, 3.4 million kids, got a career and college savings account when they enter the public education system? $1.9 billion we put up that. Some kids got as much as $1,500. That doesn't exist anywhere else we know of any jurisdiction in the world. It's a point of pride, creating a college-going and a career-going mindset. How about the dual enrollment program, $700+ million, apprenticeship, paid apprenticeship, dual enrollments getting into community college, free community college here in the state of California. How about the new commitments to higher education, average $440 million of additional money every single year, 5% increases, compounded commitment under our memorandum of understanding with the UCs and CSUs to address the full cost of attendance, to reduce the cost and the debt burden. Zero-cost textbooks, $110 million to do open source textbooks. The work we did to expand Cal Grants as it relates to the opportunities of community college. I can honestly continue. And the point is, I should, because people need to know this. They deserve to know this. But right now, so much of our education is focused on, as my friend Ben Cheeto, who's been a big part of architecting this, said, is the 10%. That's the shiny object if someone comes up here and protests. And that's probably 2/3 of the questions I'm going to get about education is about the protests today. Down in Temecula. Well, get this, they're protesting parental engagement. They're protesting the fact that for 1 year, 1,300 families engaged in a new social studies curriculum, and 98.8% of them approved or were neutral about the adaptation of that curriculum. And they wanted to throw that all out at the last minute and change it. They came up to oppose parental engagement while we're here celebrating it. That's Orwellian doublespeak. We're talking about freedom to speak, freedom to teach, not creating a chilling effect where fear and anxiety are dominating. That's not freedom. Freedom's not found in fear and power. The fulfillment of freedoms around social progress, social justice. That's what we're about. We're not ashamed about a young teacher that we just met talking about social emotional learning. By the way, that's how we were introduced today. Mindfulness in a teacher that's excelling with kids that are excelling, talking about social emotional learning. We're not ashamed about that. It's not an establishment plot. Ron DeSantis may have asserted just as much. Of course, they're opposed to diversity. How dare he talk about inclusion? So it's a hell of a moment in American history, and I'm really proud because I think we're on the right side of history. Oh, of course, we're not trying to rewrite history either. No. I tried to tell both sides of slavery. Really? Both sides of the Holocaust? How about the folks in Wisconsin that didn't even want to teach? They banned a book. I think they're fixing this, but they banned a book on Japanese internment because, well, we didn't talk about the other side, Japanese internment. Really? Wow. Proud of our state. We've got a lot of work to do. I can't make up for COVID. Can't go like this and make up for half century. We've got to do better. We recognize we have to do better. And I'll close on this. We asked the experts. We said, what's the data tell us? If we were going to come out, we were going to create a parameter of reforming public education, what would it look like? And we've done it. They say, you got to begin at the beginning. Our interventions come too late. People aren't left behind, they start behind. We said, let's do TK for all. You got to create a career-going mindset. You got to stretch quality imagination. And that's why on the front end and the back end, we've developed a framework of engagement. Got to support our teachers. Got to provide more supports. Got to provide more enrichment, more engagement, community, parental engagement. Done all that, and I'm really proud of that. So that's the architecture of the next few years. I'm really excited about what the next few years mean for these young kids. And to sit there with those young TK kids that were as better behaved than any of our 4 kids, and just imagine what their choice, their opportunities will look like as we fulfill this vision in the next few years. I'm very enlivened by that. And so I'm here in that light, in that stead. Forgive the very long-windedness, but it's a point of pride and privilege, but it's also a pointed point. Because we believe in children's right to thrive. We believe in parents' rights to decide and support their kids. We believe that kids have the right to learn and the right to succeed. And that's what our agenda lays out, and that's why we're here on the first day, not of school here in Miwok, but the first day of school for many Californians and Americans all across this country. With that, we are here to answer any questions.
Hi, Governor Blake Jones with Politico. The Attorney General and the State Superintendent have condemned trans student policies coming out of Chino Valley Unified and out of Marietta, requiring schools to disclose, trans students' identities to their parents. And I wonder, A, what you think of those policies, and B, whether you believe school districts should have the authority to pass them.
We're working with legislative leaders. I'll be meeting with the Speaker and the Pro Tem this evening. We'll be discussing it. I know that the LGBT caucus has got some language they're working on. I haven't had the privilege of looking at it. It's a work in progress.
So you don't have a position yet on these
I have a
policies?
position more broadly, but we're defining the terms of our response and engagement, and I want to flesh that out, which is happening in real time, before I opine more specifically.
Gotcha. Is there anything you can say more about your position more broadly?
Well, I think my position is pretty well founded as it relates to, you may not have been alive. I don't mean this in a pejorative sense. I mean it quite literally. I was around in the 70s when they did this Briggs Initiative, where we basically said, if you're gay, you can't teach. And there was a big ballot initiative. And I remember a guy, former governor by the name of Reagan, who said, you can't catch gay like you can measles. And then I remember a year or so ago, the press secretary of a governor in Florida, in this century, in this decade, who talked about anyone who opposed the Don't Say Gay bill are groomers. So the assault on the LGBTQ community, the assault on the trans community, is I take very, very seriously. It's been a big cause in my life. You may know I've been at this for some time. 2004, married 4,036 couples from 48 states, 8 countries around the world. And I think a little humility, a little decency is needed in these debates. For the grace of God, go any of us. Having a loved one, someone we care deeply about, that struggling with their identity, their gender identity, and I just think a little grace and humility. That's my answer to your question. Grace and humility is needed as we engage in this conversation. and I look forward to doing that in partnership with the legislature.
You've spoken about Florida a couple of times. I was wondering, with the discussed Fox debate, what, had been reported that you had an issue with having a studio audience, and I wondered, kind of what your opposition is there.
I'm not for performative. Apologies. I want to engage in a real conversation. I don't want to play to a crowd. We've been pretty crystal clear. I mean, we look at the whole thing I agreed to and laid out the parameters of what we agreed to. So we've been crystal clear and transparent, and either happens or it doesn't happen. And, there's a lot of sideshows. That's just one of them. So, meanwhile, back in the library, we're here talking about K through 12 education reform, pre-K to 12 education reform.
One more thing, you may have seen reporting too that in Alameda County, the DA's office, hired a partner or boyfriend of the DA, Pamela Price, and I don't know
anything about it.
Okay. Well, I was wondering if you had any comment.
Yes, I literally don't know any about it. I mean, like, actually, literally, no clue. I got a rumor about it. I don't even know about it. Yeah. Someone will tell me. Right? Tell me about that, Anthony.
Hi, Governor. Sophie Austin with the Associated Press. I'm wondering if you can talk more broadly on the Chino and Murrieta policies about when the state should get involved on those issues. And then I also wanted to ask a question about Native American tribes alleging that the state is breaking the law by not updating the Bay Delta water standards, which the Federal Clean Water Act requires them to do.
I'll have to get back to you on that. As it relates to the Chino, and then I imagine the Marietta, maybe there's another district, I just refer to the comprehensive comments I just made. I don't have anything more to add. As it relates to the specifics around the Bay Delta issue, I'm not familiar with the specific concerns, and obviously someone that you may know this, the first year I was in office, apologized for the first governor of the state of California in 1851 who gave his first speech, and he talked about the war of extermination and how he worked with federal soldiers, how he worked with state militia, and how he worked with vigilantes to reimburse them for exterminating and eliminating Native Americans. I created a Truth and Healing Council as a follow-up to that meets regularly. I take very seriously the issues around tribal sovereignty, nation-to-nation engagement, and have worked hard with the legislature and done some really remarkable things in terms of reparations as it relates to land transfers and the like. It's a way of expressing, not dissimilarly to the previous question, a value proposition as it relates to perhaps the more specific issues that I'm not familiar with as it relates to this particular tribe and this particular assertion.
What about voluntary agreements? The EPA is investigating the water board on this issue. Do you have an opinion on whether
I don't know
voluntary agreements are
discriminatory? Depends which voluntary agreements. I engage in plethora of voluntary agreements. As it relates to water policy, I pursued them early on in the administration. We were very successful. In the last few years, particularly the last 9 to 15 months, as it relates to engaging with water providers in a collaborative process so we can avoid litigation and all binaries as it relates to the VAs, as we refer to them, and it's been a very successful process. As it relates to the iterative process around them, I'm very mindful of that. We're still pursuing a few remaining voluntary agreements. Again, if this is specifically in relationship to your query around this tribe and its assertions, I want to make sure with clarity that I'm not aware of the details of those assertions, and I don't want to cast any connection on the broader scopes around VAs, which I broadly embrace, into any way suggest a point of view or bias in relationship to their concerns.
Hi, Governor. Jeannie Nguyen with ABC 10 here in Sacramento. You mentioned a lot today about parental rights and getting their rights. There was a rally this morning at the Capitol. They essentially said that they feel like they won't have any rights with the number of the bills that are going on in the legislature.
Which bills were they referring to?
There's a bunch of them. AB 5 is one of them, but
Right.
majorly around like LGBTQ students and those transitioning. Can you give me a comment on that? Because they don't feel like they're going to have any rights as parents.
I don't know what their assertion is specifically. I heard one of them on TV talked about we were sexualizing. It was a school board member of Temecula. It's a remarkable statement. I imagine you guys drilled down and made a determination of what they were referring to. I'm not aware of any effort to sexualize a curriculum.
They just don't want, basically I'm paraphrasing what they were saying this morning. They feel like certain rights or certain ideologies are being shoved down their children's throat, and they want to be able to control what their children are learning at school. And they feel like some of these bills.
We have a responsibility as a state. It's laid out specifically as relates to curriculum. They have to have a significant engagement with parents on changing curriculum. It's actually in statute. I hope they refer to that. The LCAP process requires parental engagement, parental advisory committees, school board engagement. In fact, lays out in such specific terms the parental rights. We actually have a Bill of Rights of sorts as it relates to the ability for an individual to volunteer, as many parents are in their school, to observe a classroom, to review the curriculum once it's already established, not just in preparation of it being established as it was in Temecula. 1,300 families over a year were engaged in the development of that curriculum. That's parental engagement by definition, 98.8%. Forgive me for being precise, but I think one has to be precise. 99% supported, or we're simply agnostic. That's parental engagement. I don't know what they're referring to. And I think one has a responsibility to do it. What specifically are you referring to? Is it the notion that if you reference someone being gay, that somehow that's sexualizing our kids? Is that the case with straight people as well? I mean, if you're straight, is that sexualizing? It's rather perverse that I offer that as a rhetorical question, because you go, of course not. So by definition, I don't know what it is they're asserting. It's Orwellian, doublespeak. Or it's just so profoundly ignorant that they've been ginned up by outside agitators, which I think perhaps is a combination of this. And I'm deeply empathetic, because I watch some of these poor parents, and they've been so misled by these organized groups. So I just hope they exercise their rights that are well established in the state of California. By the way, those rights go back to 2005 in the Williamson settlement. 2004, 2005, they're well established, codified. LCAP process, we reinforce them. The LCF, I mean, these things are points of pride. They should be celebrating them and modeling them for the rest of the country. Moms for Liberty may want to take a look at them. Of course, they want to get rid of mental health professionals. Just, I guess, get more locked doors.
Good afternoon, Governor. Nicole Nixon with Cap Radio News. I actually wanted to ask you about the ongoing contract negotiations with the State Workers Union, SEIU Local 1000. They've been without a contract for over a month, and they also say that their pay has not kept pace with inflation. A few dozen lawmakers sent you a letter today urging a new contract that reflects better pay for these employees.
A good idea.
Do you have a comment?
I support that. I support a new contract, and I believe they deserve better pay, and we're in the middle of negotiations, and I'm feeling optimistic. And I literally will say not one more word, because I ain't going to screw it up.
Not even when that might happen?
I appreciate your question. I think I said it all.
Thank you.
Last question. Hi, Governor. Daniela Pardo with Spectrum News. Governor, about a year ago, you and the first partner announced that you wanted to add about 40,000 new behavioral health counselors.
44,000.
44,000?
You were listening.
Where is the state at in meeting that
goal?
goal?
No one never know. That's a good question. Let me get back to you. It's been challenging. We were talking right here. You're one of 63,000.
Yeah.
Can't even make this up.
Family mental health therapists in the district right now. We're hiring one more, and we have 63,000.
It's been a struggle in the private sector, public sector, and clearly here as well. The money is not the issue. We just have a lot of work to do. One of the insights, this is why I love visiting today, forgive me for talking out loud, because of the demand of the profession, what a lot of mental health professionals are looking for is more confidence in the long-term commitments. They don't want to shift a profession and a career path knowing it's just an episodic commitment. That was very helpful. Jen made the point of making sure that was reinforced when we were walking in. Did you hear that? And I thought it was very valuable. And so that's important. We've got the $4.7 billion we put up. We laid out the parameters of engagement. We've got a lot of grants that have already gone out in this space. But we have a lot of work to do to recruit those professionals. Thank you.
Just a quick, I'm going to just steal Daniela's follow-up question. Ashley Zavala with KCRA. I just wanted to clarify what you told Blake earlier about meeting with the legislative leaders on how you can approach some of these school districts that are trying to implement essentially outing trans kids to their parents.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. They're back in session today. Let me be clear. I'm looking forward to that.
So, I mean, does that come in the form of legislation? Is that,
I think they already have legislation that they're working on, which has not been shared with me. So I have not had a chance to see it.
Okay. No changes to AB 1078 or something? No, or that?
Well, there's amendments to 1078, but 1078 is a separate issue. Yeah. It has nothing, 1078, I don't believe, I think we have to address the issue of book bans. This is getting out of control. I mean, I think I'm living in another time and place. This is, it's just crazy what's happening. And by the way, parents overwhelmingly, Penn America's done survey after survey, overwhelmingly oppose book bans. If you care about parental engagement or parental rights, this is crazy. Just one person, without even reading a book, can eliminate a book, and every other parent and child no longer can even read that book. Included in some place the Bible, apparently, too. Apparently that's too violent. Old Testament, there are aspects. God forbid, we dream about the stars, reflect on our, youth, reading and regaling all things Shakespeare. They're trying to eliminate Shakespeare in Florida. Too sexually charged. This is serious stuff. So you asked me about 1078. I hope we can address that in 1078. Temecula made the right decision as it relates to providing the parental right, which they tried to take away, of having their kids have textbooks today, because August 14th is their first day of school in Temecula. Some parents wanted to deny the rights of the parents and children to have a textbook. That was what the school board originally voted on in the name of parental rights. Orwellian doublespeak. So fortunately, they fixed that. But I'm concerned that could happen again, and we just want to be clear, the law is the law. See, local control is not willfully breaking the law. That's not local control. Laws are well established, they're inclusive. People's representatives are part of that process of adjudicating where the public mood is. Lawsuits that enjoin certain rights and responsibilities are all part of that. That due process is well established here over the course of years. There's a lot of statutes that are well established in the state, and unfortunately they're trying to short fuse them. A few people, loud voices, that are trying to deny the rights of other parents and family and children. I don't think that's appropriate. With that, what is appropriate is we all get out of here. It's very warm in here, so I appreciate all of you taking the time. Thank you very much, both Nancy and Jesse. Thank you guys.